and welcome back to another edition of Running with James. Today we give you our full review of the SAUCONY Endorphin Pro Plus. If you're new to the channel, welcome and thank you for joining us today. Please take a moment to subscribe and like to the channel. It's a little thing for you, but it really helps out the channel so much. All right, so let's get into it. As usual, we'll start with the upper, we'll talk about the midsole, get into the outsole, we'll talk about our likes and our dislikes and everything in between. So the SAUCONY Endorphin Pro Plus basically is the SAUCONY Endorphin Pro 2 with some updated features to make it lighter, supposedly a little bit faster. And so just to kind of give you some overall specifications, my size 10.5 comes in right at about 7 ounces. It has a 35.5 millimeter stack height in the heel and a 27.5 millimeter stack height in the forefoot, giving us right at an 8 millimeter drop. All right, so we're gonna break this thing down and talk about what are we really fans of in this particular iteration of the shoe, and what are some things maybe that we would have changed or we're just not fans of. All right, so let's dive into the upper of this Endorphin Pro Plus. So the upper basically is a super lightweight one-piece form-fit mesh upper, okay? It also has a very flat perforated tongue that is unattached. You guys know how I feel about those unattached tongues, right? And what they're calling their no-slip laces. Now, the upper itself actually I found was quite a bit more comfortable than the Endorphin Pro 2 and the Endorphin Pro 1, both of those. I actually like the upper so much better. I felt it was a little softer. It definitely was cooler. It was extremely light. Now the heel counter itself is kind of non-existent. You can kind of see how it's kind of floppy right there. It does have a little bit of padding right there toward the top where your Achilles meets your heel. And so you do feel that padding, but it doesn't really give you that kind of, you know how usually on most of these marathon racers nowadays, they kind of have this little pocket that your heel just slides into and locks into there, and they'll have some padding around the edges. This doesn't have that. It's almost like they took a track, and it's basically like a track inspired upper that they put on this maximalist stack height for a midsole. But all in all, I did like the fit, specifically in the toe box of this upper. Now the Pro Plus and even on the Speed, I always had a little bit of kind of a medium hot spot, kind of where my pinky toe is on the edges, just because it was always felt a little bit narrow. And I don't know if it was because of the material change on this, but I did not have that on this particular shoe. Maybe it's because it's a little stretchier, maybe it's thinner, maybe just because it is softer, but I loved the way this shoe fit, specifically in the toe box. I like the height, so it wasn't too shallow, just the perfect amount of width, and so I was able to get a really good fit, specifically in the toe box. Now, when we get to the actual overall fit of the shoe, I did find that I did have a little bit of heel slippage because there really wasn't that pocket or any kind of security whatsoever in that heel counter. And then because of this tongue, okay, so it's a super flat tongue, it's very lightweight, yeah, that's great, it's not attached, and so I had problems getting the tongue to get flat. And then trying to lock in the laces so that I got that perfect fit would take, it took a little bit of effort. So that means tying the shoe, untying the shoe, running a little bit, tying the shoe again, right, to get it right where I wanted it. And so I've raced in the shoe a couple times, and I enjoyed the actual wear of the shoe for the upper, but it was a little bit of a hassle to get what I thought was a great lockdown fit in that upper. So overall, I think it's light. I think it is breathable, but the lockdown, meh. All right, so let's get into the midsole of the shoe. Now, the midsole of the shoe is their PWRRUNPB. Now, this is Saucony's bounciest, most responsive midsole. Of all the midsoles I would say that are out there, of the different brands from Nike to Skechers to whoever it may be, this is probably the least soft, I guess would be the term maybe, right? So yeah, it's definitely responsive, it's comfortable, it definitely gives you that energy return and does save your legs, but it's the least bouncy. So I would say that this is probably the least of my favorite foams. Not to say it's not a good foam. It's definitely bouncy, it definitely gives you that spring and definitely does save your legs. And with that 37.5 millimeter stack height in the heel and that 35.5 stack height in the heel and 27.5 stack height in the forefoot, you get plenty of foam to save your feet and to save your legs. Now, it does have what they call their SPEEDROLL technology. I'm a fan of the SPEEDROLL technology, and basically what that is, it's got this kind of arch you can see at the toe that kind of helps you roll through your gait cycle. And so you do kind of feel it does kind of help keep you up on your toes a little bit, help you fall forward into your run. So I feel like it does kind of help with that turnover. It also has an S-curve carbon plate, so it does have a full carbon plate in here, and it's S-shaped, right? So it does kind of go with the flow of that midsole, and it's stiff, right? You can see like how stiff. I can't bend that thing at all, right? And so when you're running slow, you don't notice it. It's not really a slow running shoe. You can run slow in it, but it's not something. I've taken it out on easy runs and things of that nature, and I wasn't like, oh my God, my leg's so great. Because remember, that foam is not super duper like plush. But when you pick up the paces and when you run fast, you can definitely feel that propulsion and that push forward. But if you ran in the Endorphin Pro 2, or if you even ran in the Endorphin Pro, you know the feeling of that foam and that carbon fiber plate, because they really haven't changed that at all. So you're probably already familiar with it. And so if you liked it, you're gonna like this one. All right, so what about the outsole? Now the outsole is, once again, just like the midsole, they haven't really changed this at all from the Pro 2, even the Pro 1, or even I think it's the same one as that's on the Speed, the Endorphin Speed. And so it's got what they call like their XT900 outsole. So it's plenty of rubber. It covers all the key areas. You get plenty of grip. I've used this in rain. I've used this on the track. I've used this, on gravel. I've used this obviously on concrete or what have you. No issues. I actually raced in this shoe for the High Rocks World Championships, and so there's an event where you have to like push this really heavy sled, this like 300 something pound sled or whatever across carpet, and finding the right kind of shoe that's going to keep you from slipping on that carpet can be a bit of a challenge. This was more than grippy enough, right? So definitely probably anything you're gonna be doing, turning corners, running straight ahead, you're gonna have plenty of grip. And because there's plenty of this, I think you're gonna get a good amount of wear out of the rubber itself. And so that just extends the life of the shoe. All right, so what is our verdict on the Saucony Endorphin Pro Plus? Well, first of all, I'm gonna just start with the looks. I like the look of the shoe. It's bright. I like bright shoes. I think, I've always been like a guy who loves black. I mean, I have a lot of black in my in my repertoire, as it were. But when it comes to tennis shoes, I like things to be bright. And so I like the brightness of the shoe. I definitely like it better than the white version. They have an all white version. So I like the look of the shoe. I like how clean it is, how simple it is, but it is effective. I love how they changed the upper. I love the fit of the upper. And because they did change this upper out, it changed the weight of the shoe by about ½ an ounce. So it dropped a ½ an ounce off of this shoe. That's a lot of weight to take off of a shoe, especially when you get up there in those 10s and above. So I love the weight of how they've changed that weight in the shoe. The midsole, the carbon fiber plate, they're all cool. They do what they do. Like I said, if you were a fan in the other versions of the Endorphins, you're gonna be a fan of this one. You're gonna like it. It's not my favorite. I still think the Skechers Hyperburst is I like that foam a little bit better. I definitely dig the Nike Zoom X. I just think that's probably the best foam in my opinion that's out there right now. But it's a P-back style foam, so it's bouncy and it's responsive. I tell you, I'm not a fan of the tongue whatsoever. I'm not a huge fan of the fit of the shoe. And so for me, I love the weight. I think it has a lot of positives for it. And so if you're a fan of the Saucony Endorphin series, you're gonna love this shoe. And I would even make the suggestion that if you have, say, the Endorphin Pro, and you're ready to upgrade to maybe the Pro 2, don't do the Pro 2, do the Plus, because I think it's a better fit, it's a lighter shoe, and you're gonna like this one better than the Pro itself. Now, the Pro 3 is about to come out here in a month or two, and they've made some serious updates to that. And knowing marketing and knowing how these companies are doing things now, because they want to sell us as much as they possibly can, they're probably going to come out with a Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 Plus, right? Or something like that, right? So they'll change the upper just a little bit to make it a little bit lighter. So I would say that if you like the Pro 1 or you like the Pro 2, you're probably going to love the Pro Plus because they've definitely upgraded it. They've definitely made it lighter. And if you're okay with the fit of some of those other ones, you're probably going to be more than okay with the fit of this shoe. So for us, the Saucony Endorphin Pro Plus is a must-have. All right, guys, that is it for our review for the Saucony Endorphin Pro Plus. I don't know if you noticed or not, but on some of those, our clips today, you saw we might have been running on the West Coast. We took a trip out to California and got to run a little bit out there and saw some of the sights. It was beautiful and the weather was awesome. So you guys who are watching on the West Coast, I am envious of you, because if that's what the weather is like in the middle of summer, oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. I can see why you want to be running all that. I would want to run nonstop. All I want to do is go out there and run and check out the sights. And I definitely I wish I'd taken my trail shoes, because I think that would have been a perfect place to do a trail shoe review. So, and we've got one coming up here pretty soon. So really excited about it. The Salomon Trail Pro, the Salomon Pro Trail or Trail Pro. I don't know. We'll know by the time we do the video what the name of the shoe is, right? So thanks for coming in today, guys. Remember, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It always helps us out. And if you haven't done so already, check out our podcast. We have a podcast called Running with James, co-hosted by Lauren Inman and Rocky G. And so it's a lot of fun. It's a long format, obviously. We talk, we discuss all types of topics. We've got some really cool things coming up, some interviews coming up here pretty soon. So if you haven't done so already, check out the podcast on all platforms. Wherever you listen, you can find it, right? So thanks for coming in today, guys. Remember, when you change your mind, you change your life.